Welcome, everybody. Happy holidays. Glory be to God. So wonderful to be with you all here. So let's start this evening just by shutting down our eyes. And I'm going to invite us just to sit with this question. What does it mean to be awake? I'm going to give you the answer. The answer means we live from a different perspective, a different viewpoint than that of the thinking mind, than that of the emotional mind. And I'm going to invite us just to take a moment here and to really look. Do you reference thought for the truth? Or do we reference our direct experience? So do we reference ego to tell us what the truth is about reality? Or do we reference our thinking mind? Now, this practice of spiritual inquiry, this practice of meditation, is a practice where we are being deeply honest. The spiritual path does not serve us if we are going to lie to ourselves. And so in the spirit of humility, I'm going to ask the question again. Are you awake in the depth of your being? Do you hear the sound of my voice? From the quietude, the innocence, and the beauty of your own heart? Or do you hear the sound of my voice filtered through a mind that is judging, a mind that is distracted, a mind that is not present? And so as we continue to sit here together, I'm going to invite us to open more fully in the heart, knowing that God gave you this beautiful heart, this radiant, innocent presence. And right here, right now, can you join me in this space of love? In this space of luminosity? Can you join me from a place of depth that is not moved by thought, that is not moved by emotion? And so right away, as we join together in satsang, I invite you to jump into the ocean. This ocean of silent radiance. This ocean of humility, of innocence, this timeless, eternal perspective. And even the word perspective just doesn't sound right. It is this depth of being. And so in the quietude of this moment, can you join me in surrendering all that which is false, all that which veils your consciousness? And again, from a space of meditative inquiry, I'm going to invite us to repent. Repent means to look again deeply. Doesn't mean to be guilty or that you're a sinner or something like that. It means to look again deeply at that which veils the consciousness, which veils your innocence. And we're asking, is there something here that I'm ready to let go of? Something here that is heavy and dense. Something here that is old and projected into the present moment. And as we do so, let us get to know our heart. So as we let go of the veils, as we let go of that which is untrue, and we come into the heart, I invite you to see the heart expanding beyond the edges of the body, spreading out across the horizon. As we open, as together the heart awakens and begins to unify with all of life. And I invite you to notice, what does it feel like directly? As the heart moves out of the realm of emotion and into the realm of its natural state, its true nature, which is a state of unification, a state of unity consciousness. And so often the ego places an arbitrary shell, like this worldview of the heart being contained in the body, this idea of walls around the heart. But here in satsang, I'm going to invite us to break through those walls, to surrender, to let go, to be openness itself. So opening in the front, and on the right side and the left, and behind, above and below. And as we do so, you may notice this falling away of the thinking mind, and an opening up of the heart mind. The heart mind is this prajna, this radiance, this intuitive wisdom. A space that has no walls, no edges, no boundaries. And in this space, we smile. We smile at the beauty of life, the beauty of the Sangha, the beauty of you, the beauty of us, the beauty of creation. And so as we open here, we naturally share this peace, this light, this love with our world. Very different than how the ego operates in the world. The ego says, me, me, me. It's like the Grinch. It doesn't want to share. It doesn't want to share. But the nature of the heart is to be love. To be love. To be the light. To be innocence. To be this vast, spacious, non-dual unity. And so with that, I welcome you to satsang, and I say, glory be to God in the highest, and peace to God's people on earth. May peace be with you, each of you. May peace be with you. May peace be with this world. And so, I'll share the announcements that we have 2 upcoming events live in person. One in Washington State, January 15th through the 18th, 2026. It'll be an in-person retreat, and if you're interested in joining us, please reach out. Please email me, and you can just go to my website and email me if you don't already have my email, and I'll be happy to send you the details. And after that, we will be at the Shivananda Ashram in the Bahamas, March 29th through April 2nd for the Spiritual Awakening Symposium. Now, a number of you have asked me if I will be doing a online retreat sometime soon, and I'm working on it. The last announcement that I have is I want to put together a community meeting on Friday, the 19th of December. And so it'll be at noon Mountain Time. And just stay tuned for details for that. I'll put that on Facebook, and we'll find some more ways to connect. Oh yeah, one more last announcement. Many of you are hosting groups within the Sangha, which I hear is going quite well. So we'll be talking about that at the community meeting. But for those new, there's all kinds of groups. There's my 3 weekly groups, which are on my website, but also many members of the Sangha are hosting groups, and it's a great way to connect and develop new friendships and to deepen together on the path. So all kinds of tantric groups and inquiry groups, singing and bhakti groups, Reiki healing groups, meditation groups. So a lot going on here. Okay. So I get this question a lot, and so I thought I'd just dive deeply into it. And by all means, if anyone here has a question, you can put it in the chat or raise your hands. You can always email me too. And so I got this question, and this is a question I get, on a weekly basis. In fact, all of my work in sessions has to do with this basic question of, why am I not awake? How can I become more awake? And this comes down to just one basic fundamental tenet. It's this question of, well, where do you identify? And I want us just to imagine this, that together we go on a walk. I live in this most beautiful, magical place here in Colorado, and right now we've been blanketed with snow. And snow is just such a beautiful thing. It makes everything white, white and sparkly. And so let's just imagine together we are walking together on a trail. We're going to climb a mountain. Now, in order to have the full experience, as soon as we, let's say, get out of the car or get off our bike, at the trailhead, and we begin to walk, my question to you is, are you here now? Or are you thinking about something other than the reality of this moment? If we want to be awake, we are here now. Here now. We're not thinking about our grocery list or our laundry list, our to-do list. We are here now. And we are seeing and experiencing life through, I'm going to say, the lens, the sensing organ, which is our body. So when you are in nature, you'll notice a heightened sense of awake awareness. Noticing the colors of the trees and the sky, the temperature, the wind on your face. When you're in nature, you'll feel as if you have these eyes in the back of your head, eyes on the back side of the heart, eyes on the bottoms of your feet, eyes on the palms of your hands. But when we are in egoic consciousness, we just have two eyes, our eyes right here in our head. And often we're just kind of looking out at life. Meanwhile, we're thinking about somewhere else, somebody else, mulling over some argument in our mind. And we're not here. One of the beautiful things about being in nature, about being very physical in the body, is the body wakes up as awareness itself. As awareness itself. But sometimes, I'll tell a little story about, I ran into a little doggy when I was out. I was out in this beautiful place called Turtle Lake Valley, me and my daughter this afternoon. And we saw a little doggy, a little corgi. And as we were driving to the trailhead, his name was Jasper. He was running down the road, as scared as could be. And so, I tried to chase him down, and, I stopped the car and tried to get out, and he just kept taking off. And finally I parked, and then he came up to us, and again, we tried to call him close. And then he took off running again. Now, eventually his mother came and said, she was looking out the window and kind of yelling his name. And I said, "Hey, come on over here. Your dog just ran off this way." And then she went, to go chase him down. But this little guy, this little dog, he was living in a state of fear. And when we are in fear, we just run. And we don't even know often where we are running to. We don't know where we are going. We're just running somewhere other than here. And so when we're in our ego, often we are running into the past. Or I have a good friend who he's always running into the future. I think he might be here tonight. He's always just running into the future. And if we want to be awake, we live here. Like Ram Dass taught us, we be here now. Now, not somewhere else. We're not in tomorrow. We're not, like some of us here in the Sangha are in graduate school, so we're not thinking about who is it that I'm going to be when I have my degree? Who is it that I will be? What will my life be like when I have some people are going for their LPC. They're trying to become a licensed counselor or whatever it is. But I ask you, who are you now? What are you experiencing now? Do you feel the unity of life now? Now, this time of year, maybe in a couple weeks, everyone's going to start speaking about New Year's resolutions. And New Year's resolutions are often what I want to become in the future. I want to become really fit. I want to become financially free. I want to become, whatever it is people want to become. But when we are awake, we are here, now, fully present. And we experience the present moment as the very fabric of our nature, the very fabric of life. What I am and what life is, one thing. When we're in egoic reality, what I am and what life is, two separate things. And so I was just at Mass, just like an hour or two ago. And the priest, he kept talking about us getting ready for the second coming of Jesus. And for me, the second coming of Jesus is Jesus waking up, the Christ waking up in your heart. The Christ waking up in your heart can happen, is happening, is already here right now. The Christ is the radiance, the fundamental aliveness of your being. If I could reach in and pull it out, you'd fall over dead. But the Christ is here. For most of us, it's an unrealized Christ. It's in the background, and in the foreground, we pay attention to our emotional pain, our heartache, our despair. And so this time of year, my dear friend, Father John, has invited us to repent. And repent, again, I'm going to give you my interpretation of repenting. I'm not going to give you the Catholic Church's. But my interpretation is we look deeply at our life with zero judgment, zero, zilch, none, no judgment, none. We look at our life with discernment. And discernment is this quality of heart where we just ask, is what I'm doing, how I'm thinking, how I'm being, is it working? Is it working? Am I living in my highest nature? Is there anything here present that's not working? Is there anything here that I'm willing to surrender and release? Is there any falsehood that I'm buying into which is simply not the truth? Simply not the truth. And so one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves, I'll say it, this holiday season, one of the greatest gifts we can give our world is for us to deeply repent, for us to deeply reflect and contemplate. How are things going? Am I getting lost in the chaos of my mind? Am I getting lost in a samsaric orientation? Am I getting lost in the nightly news? Am I getting lost in someone else's belief system? Sometimes when we go back home for the holidays, we reunite with our family, we also reunite with codependency. Or we reunite with some old friends from high school and we reunite in addictive ways. We reunite in confused ways. But if we're going to be awake, we are eternally reuniting. We are eternally communing with our Christ-like nature. We're communing with this radiant divinity. And so I'm going to invite us to look at this question of, am I awake in the here and now? And there's many different ways of being awake. There's being awake to one's true nature, which is what I've been speaking about so far. Being awake to the goodness and the innocence and the purity of your heart. We call this non-dual awakening. But because I love God so much, I'm going to invite you to ask this question, to join me in this investigation. Are you awake to the grace of God in the here and now? Can we call upon God to come here this moment? Can we call forth this grace to descend down into our bodies, into our minds, into our hearts? And right away we start to feel this grace descending. And so we're opening to the love of God. We're opening to the light of Christ. And we're saying, hello, God, I welcome you here into my heart. I welcome you into my home. I welcome you into my life. Many of us on the spiritual path, we try to walk it alone. And this has always been a mystery to me, why anyone would want to walk the path without God, without grace. It's like, please, let us open our hearts and let us receive the glory and the grace of God, the abundance of love. Can we open and receive right now? And so as this grace begins to pour down into us, you may notice a baptism by fire, by heat, by light. And so in this Sangha, this is a fiery Sangha, a Sangha where we are opening to the quietude and the depth and the innocence of our own heart. We're opening to the peace and the spaciousness of our mind. But of course, in addition to this, we're going to open to the grace of God and allow this divine fire to purify us, to heal us, to liberate us, to enlighten us, to bring forth light from within. And so this holiday season is a season where we honor Jesus, but it's hard just to honor Jesus. It's like we honor Mary, we honor the Holy Spirit, we honor this grace, we honor the Divine Mother. It's like as soon as you open to Jesus, as soon as you open to God, well, there's so much glory here, so much divinity, so much grace. Well, it's hard not just to be awestruck. It's hard not just to smile and be like, I love you, God, so much, so much. And I thank you for this gift of life. I thank you for the beauty and the radiance of the sky. I hope you all have been watching the full moon, because it's just been so lovely. So lovely to see this full moon. And if you're like me and you have snow, you look outside and it's like the whole earth is lit up at night. And it's a beautiful thing when you see, when you have big snow-capped mountains and the moon comes up and all of a sudden, you see these white mountains on the horizons. And you see the ground just glistening, just dancing with light. And it's at times like these when we really smile and open to the mystery of grace, the mystery of God's creation. But again, when we're in our egoic nature, we don't see the beauty of life. We're too busy fighting with someone who's not here, or striving to get somewhere that is not here right now. Or fighting with regret, remorse in regards to the past. And so this energy of repenting is just basically the same question as, am I awake right now? And so we look again and we look and we see, what are the things that I trip over? And do I need to value these things? Because sometimes, like if you've ever seen this, like we just keep tripping over the same thing again and again and again and again. And as we repent, we look at our life, we look at our habits, and we say, no more. I'm done. I surrender this to you, God. And if we have trouble surrendering it, we call upon the grace of God for God to come into us and to do the surrendering from the inside out. And you can do that. You can call upon God. If you struggle with something, say, God, will you come into me and let go of this thing? Because I am obviously really attached to this thing. And I can tell you, I'm going to tell you a funny story. Some of you have heard this before, so please forgive me, but I was down on the Chama River. And on the Chama River, I was on this rafting trip, and it's a beautiful river in the middle of the desert down by Abacu in New Mexico. It goes by this beautiful desert monastery called Christ in the Desert, one of my favorite places to visit. And anyway, so we finished our raft trip, and I was with an old buddy, and when he goes on a raft trip, he does this thing where he allows himself to indulge in a cigarette or two or three or four. And, so he was just, smoking cigarettes again on this raft trip. Now, luckily for me, we're outside, the wind was blowing in a different direction, so, I didn't have to get his secondhand smoke. But anyways, so at the end of the trip, we loaded up the boat and we pulled up to the gas station to fuel up before our long trip across the desert. And he said, okay, the trip's over. That was him repenting. The trip's over. Getting rid of these cigarettes. He crumpled them up and threw it in the little garbage can that's right there by the gas pumps, And we fuel up and we get back in the truck, and he starts to drive away. He slams on the brakes, and then he runs back and dives, head first, into the barrel and digging out his cigarettes again. And this is the nature of the mind. This is the nature of the ego. Is that it's attached. It's habitual. It repeats the past over and over and over again. But if we want to be free, we live in the truth, not in falsehood, not in addiction, not in the chaos and the antics of the mind. What are the antics of the mind? Just one more cigarette. Maybe I'll just have a couple more smokes on the way home, and then I'll be done. Tomorrow I will be done. The ego likes to live in the past, and it loves to live in the future. For the ego, the truth is in the future. For the awakened one, the truth is right here, right now. All of God, all of the Christ is right here, right now. Jesus is not in heaven with Mary, just hanging out separate from us. The Christ is here. The innocence, the purity of Mary, the Virgin Mother, is here now. And sometimes people really trip over that word, the Virgin Mother. The Virgin Mother. The Virgin is her innocence, her purity, her absolute humility. The one who lives in the freshness, the newness of this moment, not jaded by the past, not tripping over doubt. It is a mind that is empty, that is awake, that is radiant, and is full of love, full of grace, made of love. And this is the invitation, is to live from that which is awake. Whereas the mind lives from that which is dead. That which is dead. And so anyways, let us continue to open to this grace and see and experience right now what is here that is alive, that is radiant. And you feel, you join me in feeling this burning holy fire. And we say yes, yes to this fire. We open and commune, and as we do so, we become the fire. And so I'll ask you, is there ever a time when we should not be open to God? Is there ever a time when we should not live from the heart? Of course you know the answer. Whereas the ego's like, oh, maybe a little bit later. I gotta do my things first. But whatever our things are, can we do them in grace? Can we do them in love? Can we do them as love? Can we let life do life through us, as us? And so you see, it's a different type of life. Experience of being awake. Okay. Here's a question from Blair. Is it unhealthy for attachment trauma from being a baby to be projected onto spiritual teachers and communities? Oh, Blair, this is a beautiful question. So, from the perspective of psychology, so we'll talk about psychology a little bit here. Psychology deals with healthy versus non-healthy attachment. So I will say this, there are some wounds that must be healed in relationship. So I'll give myself as an example because that's what I know the best. I had a really difficult father, and I had a really tough relationship with him. He had a tough relationship with everyone in his life. It's because he had a hard life, and he had been deeply abused and orphaned, and so he had a hard time relating to others. And so when I grew up with a man who was, he was working all the time, and that was probably a good thing for us at home, because it was just better if he was, working. But when he was home, he was drinking. And so, most of my relationship with my father was with someone who was, let's say, a workaholic and an alcoholic. And what that led to was this feeling inside of being neglected, not seen, not understood, not known, not valued. And when I was, when it came time for me to leave and go away to college, I moved out here to Colorado and as a very young man, and immediately I met my teacher. And I didn't know this, but I projected this role of my spiritual teacher. I projected the Father onto him. And so he became like a surrogate father. And in a funny way, like his wife became like a mother to me. And they would cook for me and take good care of me. And he was also my boss, of course. And so, I was just with him all the time. And I got to redo my, my childhood with my teacher. So he became my father. And because he was a good, healthy man, he was just an incredible being. This was so utterly healing for me. And so, Blair, in answer to your question, if the teacher is a healthy teacher, and if they show up in a healthy way, a wise way, a supportive way, well, yes, this can be a projection that eventually becomes healing. So we heal through the relationship. This is often done in therapy as well. So like if you, again, if you didn't have a good mother, didn't have a good father, and you show up, and in theory, these things get projected onto the therapist, and then through the relationship, these things get worked out. And there's an opportunity for healing if the therapist, if the teacher is mature and is wise and shows up, I'll say, in a good enough way. I didn't say in a perfect way. I said in a good enough way. Because in human relationship, it's also important for us to have moments of failure where there can be moments of healing. If the teacher is perfect, that doesn't even exist. So I don't even want to go there. And so this is what happens in therapy. And I have this experience a lot, and it's interesting to me. I'll talk about how it goes wrong. Sometimes people with mother or father wounds will get excited and they'll hear me on YouTube or something. They'll schedule a session and they'll project an idea of perfection on me. And they had, neglectful parents, let's say. Let's just use that as an example. Or they just had parents that weren't really there for them. Or maybe a parent, let's go with one of the parents died. And so they'll get real excited. They'll meet with me. And they'll get excited and say, Craig, I want to schedule a bunch of sessions. I say, okay, just do it on my website. Whatever, that's great. I'll be happy to meet with you. And then they send me an email saying, you know what, I've decided not to because, and they'll just come up with some excuse. And what they'll do is they'll fire me, like they'll reject me before I have a chance to reject them. So this is where the projection doesn't get worked out. It doesn't get healed. And so this happens all the time. If you're ever a therapist, is people will schedule and they'll get really excited, then they'll open up, and then some part of their wound or their psyche or their shadow will get scared, and then boom, they'll run away. And I have people running away all the time. Sometimes when you're a bright light, people get really attracted to you and then they run away because they're afraid you will see their wound or their shadow or whatever it is. And for me, This is part of the job. It's like we work with the wound. We work with the shadow. This is a tantric path. This is what we're supposed to do. Like when I met my teacher, there were parts of me that wanted to run, but I knew what was here was so good that I wasn't going to leave. There was no way in hell you could get me to leave. And I spent, 20 years of my life with him. And he challenged me. And he knew where all my buttons were. And sometimes he'd push them purposely in order to evoke a reaction that could be worked out and healed. Whereas a lot of people, they show up to therapy and they sabotage it before the therapeutic process begins to go deep. This happens, so much as a therapist. Like, I don't have the time, to respond to emails when people are saying, hey, you know what, I'm deciding I'm walking away. It's like, that's great. God bless you. I'm here. I'm always here. Like I just, I tend to teach a lot and be available a lot. And so like, if you want to work with me, great. Great. But if you don't, like, that's okay too. I'm not in the business of chasing people. I'm not in the business of attracting followers. If you want to work, if you want to connect, if you want to heal, if you want to investigate what it means to be free, there's something here. There's a possibility, a potentiality here. And a lot of people get this idea that they want to work something out. But all it is just an idea. They're not willing to show up. They're not willing to be vulnerable. They're not willing to surrender. They're not willing to change their behavior. What they're willing to do is to be lost in their mind. Now, I'm not speaking to you all. You all are here. You all show up. You all give of yourself. But projection can work a variety of ways. When we have a parent who doesn't really see us, like my projection from my father was, I'm unlovable. I'm unlovable. And so I can go out in the world and I can look for all the ways that I am unlovable. And this can become a self-fulfilling prophecy if I sabotage the relationships that I engage with. And so when we're studying projections, it's important for us, like if we go back to this question, I have a question, is it unhealthy for attachment trauma from, since she was a baby to be projected onto spiritual teachers and communities? Is it unhealthy? Our projections, they just project. They project wherever we're at. And with people of significance in your life, we're more likely to project our mother and our father wounds onto those individuals. So the question is it unhealthy? Well, yeah, it's unhealthy if the people you're projecting on aren't healthy and are chaotic human beings. It'll just lead to more mess. Now, I'll even say this, because this is a tantric universe, like even if you go and get and project your father wound onto a toxic man, that toxic man will let you down. When he lets you down, or if he manipulates you, or does, gives you a big dose of narcissistic abuse or whatever it is, that experience in and of itself will probably make you angry. And when you get angry, maybe you'll begin to do your work. So I don't even like saying it's unhealthy. This is just what happens in life. And so we're either going to work it out with unhealthy people, and we can only work it out to some degree. What their job is to invite us. They're not really going to invite us, but they're going to incite us to change, to grow, to evolve, and to go out and to connect eventually with people who are good. And they teach us that we are lovable, we are good. That's the purpose of satsang, by the way, is to teach you that you are good, that you are lovable, that you are love itself. So not only are you lovable, you are love itself. And so it's nice when we project our wound onto someone healthy. So if we have like I had the wound that I was unlovable, I projected this onto my teacher, and I thought he was going to treat me in a way that reminded me that I was unlovable, but he ended the projection. He said, "Craig, you are a child of God. You are God waking up in human form. You are a divine being. You're not a wounded individual with attachment trauma." He said, like, we're going to heal that through him loving me and me loving him, and us discovering that we are each independently love itself together. And so that's a beautiful thing. And that's what I'm hoping, that's what I know happens here in this Sangha. And it takes some time, of course, as we work through the layers of it. But when you're with someone who has a big heart and they're well trained, they're psychologically mature and adult, they have a high degree of emotional intelligence, they support you and believe in you, these are the grounds for healing our unhealthy projections, our unhealthy attachments. And even if you don't have a spiritual teacher, we'll do this in the world. People do this all day long on Tinder. On Tinder. Like, that's the app, right? Tinder. What's the other one? The fluffy pillow one? I don't know what they're called. Anyways, maybe someone will help me out with that one. So, let's see. Here's another question. So I hope, Blair, that was helpful for you. So you asked another part of the question. Let me just acknowledge this. So, is it unhealthy for attachment trauma from being a baby to be projected onto spiritual teachers and communities? So the communities thing, again, like, if we have a healthy community where people are empowered, we have the shared intention of growing, evolving, healing, and awakening, this is a great place to do work. Do work. All my climbing buddies say that all day long. They're like, "Craig, do work when you're going up that wall. Do work." We're doing good work. So our projections will get worked out in the Sangha as well. Now, within the Sangha, there's all different kinds of individuals here, and we're all at different stages on the path, and some are really developed in one way, others are really developed in other ways. The thing that I don't like in spiritual communities is people show up with this idea of some utopian society, some perfected beings, and we're all working together singing Kumbaya. That's not really what a spiritual community is like. Most spiritual communities are pressure cookers. So I can remember when I lived with some people who, like, we all went up and were part of my teacher David's Sangha, and I can remember one lady I lived with, every time I coughed, she she was projecting like, are you coughing because I'm having a negative thought? And I was just like, I'm coughing because I got a cold, or I'm coughing because I have allergies. I'm coughing because, I was just hanging out with someone's dog and I'm allergic to dogs. Like, I don't know, lady, like this doesn't have anything to do with you. But she was projecting her pain and her own self-hatred onto me. And at some point it's like, lady, let me tell you, like this is like, I'm not psychically coughing because you had a negative thought. Like that's crazy. That's crazy. If you're having a negative thought, forgive yourself. Let it go. Surrender it. But don't involve me. But with sanghas, often we involve each other. It's just like families. We involve each other. But through the involving of each other, we begin to sandpaper each other down. So the rough edges become round. We become soft. We become malleable. We figure out who we are, what our highest truth is, through a willingness to surrender everything which is untrue. And again, this doesn't just happen in spiritual communities. What's different in a spiritual community is we have a shared intention to grow, to heal, to evolve, to awaken. But when the community has a massive shadow, I'll just bring up the Catholic Church, just for instance, like when the community has a massive shadow, where we're all sinners and the priests are the holy ones, and the projections can get really weird and bizarre and nutty. But again, like, let's say we're just on the job site, like if we're at work, and if we had a terrible mom, and we have a boss who's a woman, we might realize, oh, I'm speaking to my boss like I speak to my mother. And we start working out our projections with our boss, which I don't recommend, but I worked out my projections with my boss. He was also my teacher. And a stand-in father for me. And and there's times when he would have to kind of slap me around a little bit, be like, Craig, like, I'm not your father. You're treating me like a rebellious teenager. And I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what got into me. I was drinking. No, I'm just kidding. That's just one of my jokes. We get confused. We get confused on the path. And the path is where we work things out. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go to this next question, and then I'll get to Catherine. Hi, Craig. There seems to be a lot of information available for how Kundalini affects males physically, but I have not been able to find anything about how it may affect menstrual cycles. Okay, it's a fun one. I would really appreciate any information from you or anyone else in the Sangha. If any Sangha friends have anything on this, feel free to Facebook message me. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, so I'll say this. Look, this is a Divine Mother Sangha. It's a Sangha where we worship the Divine Feminine. I live in a house just with all women. I've just been surrounded by women in my adult life. It's been a little bit of a problem for me. It's why I go to jiu-jitsu. I go to jiu-jitsu, go to be with some men. But, okay. So, in the Tibetan tradition, there's this tradition of the wild Dakini. This is a part of Tantra. The wild Dakini, she embraces the wildness, the messiness of her emotional nature, of her hormonal nature. And so I'll say this, that women are affected by the moon. But who else is affected by the moon? I'm affected by the moon like crazy. Like the moon just radiates with me, and it keeps me up all night. And it's just like, it's always a big deal whenever it's a full moon for me. And the new moon's like, I'm always just following the cycles of the moon. But you'll notice just throughout the month, there's these huge changes that happen throughout the body. And with Kundalini Shakti, what Kundalini Shakti does is it tends to put tremendous stress on our nervous system. And when our nervous system is stressed, our hormones tend to get inflamed, they tend to get enraged, and it creates this chaos throughout our system. And every month women have to go through this journey. And if we're going through this journey of this hormonal cycle plus Kundalini Shakti, well, we better hold on. We better buckle our seatbelt. We better choose to bite our tongue at times. And at other times, we choose to go outside and sing and shout and scream and pound the earth and let it rip and let it empty and let it flow. You know, part of the teaching on the menstrual cycle is every month there's this huge tantric letting go. I mean, there's an upheaval of all kinds of emotion, all kinds of wound, all kinds of shadow, all kinds of unreality. And then the shedding of that and the rebalancing of it. And I can tell you this, that I have such respect for women for going through this cycle every month. The difficulty of it, the chaos of it. And with the dancing Dakini, her job has always been to have one foot, I say this a lot, one foot on planet Earth, one foot grounded, stable, insane, while her emotional nature may become temporarily insane or temporarily just wild or just flooded with feeling. And whether the feeling's more in the manic realm or the depressed realm or the chaotic realm or just whatever it is, the dancing Dakini keeps one foot on planet Earth. One foot. And this one foot is what saves us. And part of this process of being human is allowing ourselves to go through these incredibly tantric experiences, to let it rip, to let it flow, to let it empty, but all the while trusting in your innate sanity. On the flip end of things, like men like often will spin, into rage, or they'll spin out in pride or arrogance or whatever it is. But Kundalini Shakti will put pressure on anything within us that is unresolved, anything that's out of alignment, and it just tends to turn up the heat. Tends to turn up the heat. And through this heat, we are invited to look at ourselves, to look at our experience, and to meet it with love. To meet ourselves with compassion and understanding, and not expect perfection. Not expect any kind of perfection, but to show up and just to do our best from a place of sanity, a place of love, a place of spiritual depth. And so every month, women are challenged. And the question is can you accept this challenge? Can you meet the challenge? Can you fail and smile and realize It's okay. God is flooding me, flooding my body with hormones in this great release, and it's just a chaotic thing. It's a chaotic thing. But I can tell you this, that just because, I'm an old hippie, I've been in relationship with so many women who embrace this time, who use it as a time to go inward, and they even consciously implode. And after they implode, they explode. And after they explode, they rebalance in a greater and a deeper and a more empty way. And the women who I've seen do best with it are the ones who consciously take it on and say yes to this journey, yes to this path. And the same can be said about pregnancy as well, is it is a whole spiritual path. There used to be this healing arts center here in town, and it was called the Red Tent. And if you're a woman, you might know about the Red Tent. It was a place where women would come together and commune and do women's moon circles, ceremonies, and they would really use it as an intentional time to heal, to release, to let go. And so when we're experiencing this, it's so utterly important to frame this in a positive light, to see this as a tantric journey, and not to look at it as there's something wrong with me, or there's something wrong with life, or this isn't fair, God. I mean, it's clear. There's nothing fair here on planet Earth. And let's just be blunt here. Women have it so much harder than men. It's just a basic truth. I mean, women are mothers. They do the hard work. They carry the baby. All of us should bow before the mothers of this world. In Tibetan Buddhism, there's this old saying. It's just like anyone you look at, make sure you're kind to them, compassionate to them, because they were probably your mother in a previous incarnation. So if you've had 10,000 incarnations, at some point we were all each other's mother, each other's mother. And so that was their little ploy to get everyone in the sangha to be kind to each other. It's just like, just know that this person you're struggling with, once upon a time they were your mother. And I don't know how your mother was in this lifetime, but in this teaching we're saying that the mother is good, and she worked so hard for us. I mean, even if we had a terrible, rotten, no good mother, she was probably went above and beyond. Probably went above and beyond. And we never know this until we become a mother or father ourselves. And then we realize, oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Mothers are saints. Are saints. And I'm not saying, and I want to be clear, I'm not saying everyone's mother was a saint, but just mothers in general are saints. Okay. Anyways, okay. Let's do this. Let's shut down our eyes. And again, I want us to feel into our heart. Feeling this quiet love in the heart. This journey down the spine. Feeling a quiet strength in the solar plexus. Journeying down more fully into the hara. And feeling this depth of peace. I'm going to invite this energy of the heart to descend into the lower hara. was feeling like love is anchoring in the hara, merging with this quiet sense of strength. This deep empowerment. And just noticing what that's like. I invite you to see yourself living from this space of depth. Going out into the world, communing with others, sharing your light, your truth, your beauty, your divinity, and being unmoved by the chaos of creation. So rooted in Buddha nature, rooted in love. In these final minutes here, I'm going to invite this grace of the Divine Mother to pour all the way down from heaven through the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, pouring down into the hara, flooding your body with light, flooding the earth with immense love. And so, gently bringing the palms together, may all beings throughout all time and space, all realms, be blessed. May love triumph. The violence in Israel and Palestine and Ukraine and Nigeria, Sudan and Somalia, may the violence end. May love triumph throughout all creation. May all captives, all slaves be freed. May heaven give birth here on planet Earth. May a greater reality of love, may the reality of the Christ triumph. And so much love to each of you. See y'all next time. Much love.